Okay, so what you need to know before you start with this technique is the one hand shuffle, which I already explained it in another video, so you can go to this video footnote and I'm gonna put the link over there where you can find it. I'm gonna explain that, but I'm not gonna elaborate too much in this technique. This is pretty much the mechanics grip, and move the forefinger to the back and cut with the index, move it all the way to the top. Now, to find out if you can do the one hand shuffle before you even start practicing it, just try to use both hands to begin with. One in the thumb and the index finger, the second one in the index and the middle finger. If you can reach, then you can do it. And cut it with the index and move it all the way to the top. Now this is sometimes a big issue if your hands are sweating, because sometimes you get the card from the back. I try to use the nail or move the index to the side, so it's not really an issue. Well, depending all the time. But for this case, you need to just slide it to the top, squeeze it, in this case, when I let it go, notice there are two sections. This is the top half and this is the bottom half. When I cut, I separate it with a pinky finger from this angle so they don't see it, and then drop it and put the top half right on top. When I do this, so I try not to cut exactly the half, I try to cut less. So when they're interlaced, it's not really hard to remove it. And also it works better with a brand new, not really used, so they are not too sticky. You see here, they still separated, but when I pretend to square it to the tape on the table on the surface, I do it this way so they don't see exactly what is going on, because you do it in the front, of course they'll see this. The forefinger push the bottom portion and cut it like that. If you do the same thing only using the right angles, and then it's gonna works better. Keep it in angle so they don't see there is a huge difference. Then square it, as I already showed you. And then do the same move. From here, you cover better things. The moves. It's still in the same sequence. It can be for any routine. For us, the first method that I show in this video is using both hands. I cut about 1/3, the same, doing the one hand shuffle. And when I put it into the bottom half, notice how this upper half, the last card is not all the way outside, it's inside, and also the top one is inside this bottom half. So pretty much it has to be in the middle of this bottom half. And the same thing when I do the shuffle, I keep it in angle so they don't see too much. When I show it when I show the face of the cards to the spectator, I cover like that so they don't see the huge discrepancy over here. I pretend to square it, but in reality I'm just pushing the whole thing to the back. Okay. But it's still going. The bottom half is still outside of the upper one, and I relax because when I hit it on the top, I put a lot of pressure, so the cards don't move. They're still in the same sequence. So when I hit the top, the bottom moves along with it, so they don't go into the bottom half. And I relax, grab it, and then pull this in angle a little bit, so it's better, because you pull the whole thing, you may leave one card stuck in the middle. Sometimes it's gonna happen like that. So when I tilt it a little bit, pull it outside, move it to the top, and instead of doing, I double cut, but before I show the bottom card again, I rather just flip both piles face down, so they don't see it is the bottom card again showing up. I have the same king on the bottom and the ace on top. Once again. And this is a little portion which is gonna help me to easily pull it out, like that. Okay, cut once, and then, but I always keep the pinky break when I do this. Once again. Okay, so let's say they are perfectly square, but when you squeeze it, the thumb is squeezed inward, or you can move this when you shuffle a little lower. Okay, so they still outside. Before I show the face of the cards, notice my hand is in front covering, and I squeeze it harder, so when I push it inside and pretending that I'm squaring, which in reality I'm not. I'm pushing the whole thing out inside, but I don't keep it like that. I keep it in angle, 45 degrees about it, because they can see this side. I'm pushing the whole thing back, so just like that. Relax, put the thumb so it conceals better these gaps. Okay, and I try to immediately tilt it, pull it out, put it on top, and keep the pinky break, so I can cut the bottom half. I can cut this bottom half twice, once, and before I move it twice, before I expose this card, I move it face down, both. This to the side and this to the front. And it's done. This upper half should be, when you shuffle it, the last card should be into the bottom, and the front card should be also into the bottom. It's going to be easier you keep this a little lower. I'm exaggerating, of course, but you can see just a little bit. So when you squeeze it, it's easier, and you can see this section better and more separate. When you squeeze it harder, so you can pretend you are squaring, but the whole things go along together when you tap it, and then relax, and you can pull the whole thing, but it's a little risky, so instead I pull it but also twist it, you know, so I can have a better grip on this upper half. Retain the pinky break and cut once and twice. So like I said before, you need to be really familiar with a one-hand shuffle before you begin with this technique. The same thing for the table one. I cut about 1/3 and put it in here. When I shuffle it, I try to shuffle it in a little bit diagonally. I squeeze and pretend that I'm tapping in angle. I mean, make sure they only see this side. The forefinger pushes, and the table is the support for the cut, and that's it.